Scream Macarena.
Let me make sure we lives. Make sure we with the shits.
YouTube says
Oh, you
starting.
live? Whoa, I'm live. What's up, everybody? It's CMP with Craftmaster Productions and Studio One Tutorials, and I've got MG the Future. This is This Week in Hip Hop. Don't forget to stop by Studio One Tutorials. Pick up your premium membership. We have a brand new installment of Ski Mask samples. It is Volume 6. It is $4.99. It is 10 high quality loops, and yeah, go get that.
Yep, it's MG. You know what I'm about. You know, I don't normally do these little plugs, but for $4.99 on mgthefuture.com, you can grab any of the Trapanese packs. Holla at your boy.
Yo, the Trapanese packs are fire, bro. I got 8 beats with the Trapanese packs. Y'all need to hurry up and get to those. Those are actually like I love those kits. I remember when the first because I bought that pack before I knew who you were as a YouTuber. I was just those are on Machine Masters, right?
Yeah, they work, yeah.
They were on Machine Masters. So I was going through Machine Masters looking for some packs. I was looking for Wu-Tang type samples as I normally do. And I came across those packs. And the thing that I liked about those packs is you added so many different variations to it. There's a lo-fi version of each sample. There's the stems for each sample. There's a drum kit in there. There's an underwater version. You got like a chopped up version of each sample. Just you know, before I knew you as a YouTuber, just as a sample designer, that shit was really hard, and I think a lot of people are asleep on that, bro. So you definitely want to stop by MG the Future site and check that shit out.
Some of our favorite content creators weren't asleep because they made Shaolin Soul samples right after.
Yeah, that was a thing. That was a thing because I couldn't find Wu-Tang samples until I found yours, and then all of a sudden everybody was like, "Whoa, this is a wave! People like Wu-Tang samples." So anyway, so anyhow, this is our year in review show for This Week in Hip Hop. I wanted to do something a little bit different. I didn't want to go into like the plug-in lists or the album of the year or none of that. I've noticed in watching your channel, and not only in watching your channel, but the plugins that we're asked to review, there is a theme that occurred this year.
Yes.
And that theme has been heavy, and it's been on using AI and what some people refer to as AI, but it's actually machine learning. And that's popping up a lot in our plugins. I think, and you could tell me if you agree with this or not. I think that the most successful people applying this technology is Ozone. I mean, not Ozone, Isotope.
Isotope. I agree. Yeah. From what I've seen with the machine learning aspect of it, it's probably one of the few that actually create results that are usable. And I think they're solving a different kind of problem. So before they're trying to solve like clarity and high quality, you know, all these weird words that we were looking for, you know, 7, 8 years ago. They solved that easily with Ozone 4. Then they were like, you know, we can't add, there's only but so many third order harmonics to add to a damn signal chain. So what else can they do? And I think their answer was remove reverb from mastering, and then of course machine learning.
Right. Real quick for the people in the back, what is the difference between AI and machine learning?
Machine learning, I guess algorithmically, so it's not, so let me talk about true AI. Humans are true AI. And what I mean is we have the ability to absorb information and come to our own conclusions, or we have the ability to synthetically add information and come up with different or new or variations. Machine learning doesn't. Machine learning, you kind of have to give it parameters or a code. You gotta hold its hand. So you say, hey, here's 1,000,000 songs, and I want you to sort them by these parameters. And then here's a new song that some guy in Dakota uploaded, and I want you to check for those same parameters. And now I want you to compare these two and see what kind of adjustments can be made. Whereas AI would be more like, hey, guy from Dakota, redo this track. I'm not mastering it until you get it right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, it kind of works. You know, you take something like Neutron, for example, where you put in the guitar preset and you click up front, and then the the program will scan for a certain set of parameters, and it'll pretty much say, okay, if these things are true, then make these adjustments in the, you know, in either the compressor or the EQ or the exciter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So my experience with these, my experience, my experience, and my subs will tell you guys like BK Bang and people who are brave enough to suggest plugins to me. Typically, what people want to show me is something that'll make production easier, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a similar experience because you help people make their life easier. So they want to reciprocate, and they're like, "Hey, bro, check this out." So I'll have these experiences where someone will give me like something like Scalar or something like that, and I'll react to it like, "Bro, I don't fucking need that shit, bro. I'm dope, bro. You don't. I don't need somebody to write my chord progressions for me. I got a piano roll. That's all I need." Then in 2 weeks I'll go back to it and I'll be like, "Oh wow, this is great." So that was my experience with Neutron and Ozone and Nectar as far as the assistants are concerned, right? Because I've been mixing since like 2004. So naturally I feel like, dude, I don't need that shit. You know what I'm saying? I have ears, bro. I'm the ultimate assistant. I don't need that. But I set up Neutron as a channel strip on every track on all my sessions, because the masking feature where you can look and see what frequencies are masking, it's a tremendous time saver. I can do that with my ear. I don't need the help to do it, but to be able to see the visual cue, it makes it faster, right? Yeah. So you know, to take a piano, for example, and make it more up front in the mix, I know what signal chain I could put together, what plugin chain I could put together to make that happen. I don't need Ozone Neutron to tell me, but when I used it, I was like, you know, I swallowed my pride. I was like, here, let me just check this out. Let me see how it works. Let me find out if it's trash. Dude, I was so impressed with the chains that they came up with respect to the songs. The machine learning is amazing. Like the parameters that they've set up are really great, and it led me to think, what an amazing time to be alive with these tools, because this is all stuff that took me years to put together. Right. Yeah. Now that I have tools like this, I don't need it, but I'm going to use it because it makes my process faster.
Yes.
What I would love to hear your perspective on is, what do you think that means for somebody who is a little newer, and who instead of having the actual hands-on learning experience and the 7 years of struggle mixes, is able to get a Christmas, Black Friday bundle for Neutron, and have this amazing channel strip that is almost like having like a professional engineer give you a suggestion, and then for them to be able to tweak it. What do you think that means for this crop of artists and producers coming in?
For the new guys, I think it's exciting. I think it's going to give them permission to worry about other stuff. So if you don't have to spend so much time worrying about how to mix and different things you think you need to buy or add to your setup to get a good mix, and this plugin proves that you're wrong, because the producers, they'll make more beats. I think it's a situation where when you compress everything and you make it simple, the next thing a human does is they want more. You know what I mean? There's never like a wall. Like, humans don't ever stop. We figure out things, we make it cool, we compress it, and then we want more. So I think it's a sign that we're going to get a little bit more, quote unquote, saturated with tunes if these people so choose to use them. However, wait till the people who are really specifically talented or confident get a hold of them. I think you'll get a lot more good music. And I think that's what we're all kind of waiting for. So I don't see any real disadvantage because, you know, like the, the person who went through the years and years of learning it manually, they're going to talk to you about fundamentals and foundations and how you can't replace your ear. But I'm 50-50 on that, man. I don't think we're headed towards the dark ages. I don't think like one day, oh snap, you're not gonna have Neutron no more. Then what are you gonna do? I'm like, bro, Siri is gonna be a mix engineer if you keep it up. Like, relax. What are we talking about?
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think it'll. Yeah, I don't. I don't think we'll ever get to a point where, um, these tools will disappear. And I mean that from a perspective of like, if these tools do disappear, we've got way bigger problems than mixing records, right? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like that's a whole different vibe. Um, we're in some Bird Box moment if if that's the case, right, dude? Um,
right.
but the whole the whole idea that I think it's a fine line. Since you brought it up about about like Siri being a mix engineer one day. Um, only because the only thing that I don't think a computer or machine learning or AI or can calculate is the experience of air hitting the skin, right? So so you could do the math on frequency
Yep.
and balance correctly, but what you can't do as a machine is sit in front of is sit in front of Asperger's and feel it, you know, and those mixes from those rooms
Yeah.
always come out way different from the best mixes in front of near fields. That's why those speakers still cost what they cost, and that's why
Yeah.
that's why those rooms still exist. Um, but as far as the near field mixer, the 10 by 10 bedroom guy,
Right.
I agree. It can if for that class of artist and that class of musician, that is where it's going. When you say it'll free up attention and time. um musicians are a funny group because instantly someone like me, I hear about that and I'm like, oh, okay, that should give people more time to like work on the business side and work on promotions and figure out and figure out how you're going to do that. But you and I both know they ain't going to do that shit. What do you think that time will be allocated to if we're not spending 3 or 4 hours mixing a track, and you think the artist is just going to go into super creation mode, or what do you think?
When things speed up or if you get speed, sacrifices reduce. So when me and you were coming up, let's say like I don't know, towards the tail end of my high school thing, and if I wanted to go to the movies or something. So let's say I wanted to, on a given Friday night, I wanted to make a beat and make sure it was uploaded to SoundClick, check all my emails, go out to the movies, check out the girls from the other high school, and come back home and play Counter Strike at nighttime. Let's say I wanted to accomplish all these things. Well, the beat making thing and the mixing and preparing it for SoundClick, all that is different levels of complexity back then. That took the 2 to 3 hours of that night, maybe more if I was serious about it and it wasn't just a struggle loop, right? So AI mixing, boom, that take away 30 minutes to an hour. Canva, boom, that takes away all my Photoshop struggles and finding the perfect font. Everything I do in the music realm, at least, or the creative realm, at least, took this 3 to 4 hours, and now it's within an hour or less, depending on how you look at it. So that means I have 3 more hours either to do another track if I felt so compelled, or to go to the movies earlier, longer, or play the video game longer. What that does is you think it'll create laziness because you get it done faster, but what it really does is it frees up your stress and your resources. So what I think people would be inclined to do is be in a better mood. And when people are in a better mood and they don't feel like they're like climbing up this uphill battle, they end up doing doper shit. And then they start to realize that they're actually just being lazy because they can do it so fast. And then as you look in the mirror, you go, I need to be more productive. So I think people got to mature to that stage. You got to get to you need people to get comfortable first and then for them to realize, holy shit. I could make so much more. And then that's when people start kicking into that hyper creation drive.
I hope that's the trend that takes off. I hope that's where that goes, because I also think that's very possible. Now, as far as that, we know like the isotope stuff has been at the front with the the mastering assistant and the mixing assistant, and that stuff is really good, guys. Like, that stuff is really good. If you didn't get that on Black Friday, you play it with yourself. Which that brings us into more of like the AI based creation, the machine learning based creation. We did a couple streams on it. The Magenta Studio stuff that's coming out with that stuff's kind of in the baby stages. I watched the actual programmers conference on that, and it seemed like the reason why they're giving it for free with Ableton Live is because they're at a data collection point where they don't have enough data in order for the machine to make good enough decisions. Like, pretty much all they can get that thing to do is play ragtime right now, which that's no fun. No, that's what they had. That was the best that they could do. If you guys want to see that stuff, watch the videos. It's super nerdy, but it's super fun to think about in terms of, are we at a point with computers where a computer can make enough decisions based on the parameters of music theory to create something that sounds to create something that sounds fucking cool. You know what I mean? Because it's got to sound cool.
CP, I got a really simple question for you and everyone else before you go down that rabbit hole.
Please.
You ever play Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah.
You know how, like, sometimes you can be on the roof of a building, right? You aim through the sniper scope, there's no cars. But if you jump down, parachute down, you run down the street, all of a sudden all the cars fill up on the screen?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm like, in real life, though, you ever been, like, walking down the street? Like, let's say you're approaching an intersection and you got to cross the street to get to the store or something. You ever been at the tail end of the street and walk in and you don't see any cars?
Yes.
And everything's all peaceful and you're enjoying it and you hear the birds, you see a squirrel run by, get the fuck out the way, you squirrel, and then you just keep going. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to the corner, there's like 20 cars going by you.
Right.
So, is life imitating art? Is art imitating life? So when you say, I do not think or perceive that machine learning or true AI is capable of creating interesting music, my question to you is, how much of the interesting music that we have or know about or has been archived do you think was actually created by us?
Oh, we got late night MG early in the morning.
I didn't sleep very well.
Hold on, this is
I didn't sleep.
No, that's a whole other stream, MG. I don't know if I want to do that right now.
But just with that framework, then continue on with the AI thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh God, you fucked me up. And I told you I was sick too, man. I'm not prepared for that.
Okay. Well, okay.
I'm going off my script, and you making me think. All right.
Because we find ridiculous stuff on walls, man. Like they always be like, oh man, we're observing this thing and it looks like code. What do you mean it looks like code? It is code. Thank you. Oh man, we're observing these people and these instruments made out of gold, and like it seems like they have this property to levitate things. Like, yeah, that's what it is. Oh man, by the pyramids, it looks like there was a mechanical shop, but we don't see any oil or moving parts. It's like, yeah, it sounds like it was a lot of cool shit back then. So, if something happened to all the cool shit, and then something happened to all the cool people using cool shit, why do we think everything we're doing is new? I don't subscribe to that. That's why I think machine learning is curious, because they're branding it as AI while they have the real AI.
I see what you're
That's not real AI. We don't have real AI. We have AI for kindergartners. I think they can only give it to us on a rudimentary level. Because what happens? You're talking about that conference, right? So this is what happens. Some cool, trendy college kid plays the same video games I play. He has this idea. He brings up this hypothesis in college, and they test it out, and they come up with this cool little framework that looks like the ankle of an AI system. then they broadcast it, talk too much, write a white paper about it, and it gets to Japan and China goes, hey, send the agent out there and let's see if we can curate them and help them guide them in the right direction, aka not the wrong direction. And then once they do that, they get something that resembles a facsimile of the shit that they've been working on. What do you think? Like when they talk about like Manhattan Project and all these kind of different things that's been going on since Einstein and Tesla's time, you think these kids just sat back and waited for us to get Gateways 2000s? You think they just sat down on the sidelines was like, man, all we can do is taxes?
No, of course not. That's why they call it research, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they've been founded.
They're looking for a crash mothership, fam. I know what it is. Yeah, all I'm saying is they found it. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah, no, that's it's all in the words, bro. Now you got me on my Alan Watts shit, bro. But that's why they call it research, dude. But still, I'm talking about at a, I know in the abstract it does, but at a at a consumer level, on a Mac Pro i7 with the shit that we have now, we
have touchscreens now.
No, we have touchscreens now, but 2019.
I know, you know where they got the touchscreens from.
Yeah, but what I'm talking, bro. Don't take me in the tractor beam right now, bro. We talk about 2019. but what I'm getting at is the thing that I think about, and the way that I try to frame it, so that it makes sense to me, because I'll get lost going down that rabbit hole. But the way I try to think about it is like, it can't, because like when something spits out of, say, the Magenta stuff, for example, when it spits out the MIDI, I have to do a significant amount of tweaking to it to make it sound cool. Like it'll run me some straight major or some straight minor, but it's just like, it's just like the stuff that you like. It's you like the Phrygian movement or the anything modal, chord substitutions and stuff like that, which you would think, which I would say that's the human aspect of it. Dare I say the original aspect. And you would say no, that's just the embedded pattern that's in your subconscious that you don't really remember, that you picked up from listening to Miles Davis records, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So the point that the computers are in right now is they are listening to the Miles Davis records yet. They're not yet playing, at least the stuff that we're getting.
Yes.
Is what is,
I like the way you said that. Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at. Okay, so if we go with the what's that thing called? The exponential growth that like.
Was it Moore's law, Price's law? One of them laws.
Yeah, one of them laws. Yeah, one of them laws. So if you looking at, I know they haven't looked at Magenta. I don't care. They're gonna look at it. If you look at the Magenta stuff, right? How long do you think it's gonna take before that computer has listened to enough Miles Davis records to know how to make the shit that you want to hear on the first 8 generated patterns without you having to edit it? When do you think that's coming?
Most of the programmers who are in the music discipline are already training several AI. So this is the scary part, bro. That's why I was saying what I was saying. I was being very abstract, but in some kind of a roundabout way, I'm dead ass serious. There's several colleges doing the Miles Davis project. So there's several colleges, several white papers, several algorithms, all doing the same job, right? And they're all trying to get the one. They're basically all creating their best chess player, and then eventually they'll have the chess players play each other, right?
Right.
This is a nationwide, system-wide, global-wide project and scale. So they're all going to connect these computers to talk to each other and give it some kind of parameters and see who comes up with the best original song. That's already happening. So once all of those different schools and projects have the source code and they're all running this little competition and they give someone a Nobel Peace Prize for it, what I'm saying is Dark Side or Joker Side going, there's an agency collecting all that. That's hilarious. But then I go, all right, so the one that wins, you're asking, how do you convert that to something consumer level? Back in the day, it'd take 2 to 5 years. But because we're all super connected, interconnected, and there's already a demand for it, and we're already normalizing it by doing discussions before it manifests, it'll be less than a year. because that's how complexity works. Before, it'd be 2 to 5 years before you'll see the conference, the CES. It's coming in 2020. Nowadays, you hear a rumor about some shit 6 months later, bang, you're like, whoa. And this is the crazy thing. Not the person that announced it, the person that copied them.
Yeah.
It's getting crazy. It's getting ridiculous. It's like you announced what? I know how to do that. And like you're saying, when you're watching the people at Magenta Studios, you know, that Indian dude, he was really animated and he understands the words and the code and the math. And he's like, you guys are stupid, but this is how this works. And you feed it to this and the node and this and this. I'm like, bro, what? He got that complexity thing down. So, you know, you put him around somebody with some swag who'll be like, yo, I need you to stop feeding it ragtime real quick. Peep the Neptunes real quick, fam. Then that works faster. And then he goes, you know how they go, oh, that's easy music. Then do it. And then boom, a week later, we got it. So that's the thing about the compression and expansion of complexity. I don't think we're waiting around for it. Like I said, I told everyone, you know, you got until summertime, fam, because 2020 is like that psychological thing where everyone's like waiting for it to announce the cool shit.
Yeah,
there's nothing inherently about it time wise. It's 2020. It sounds cool. It's dope for marketing. You know, we'll wait till 2020. Everyone's gonna be excited and aware, and election years and all that bullshit. So this is the last. This is the what is this? This is the last year, man. It's like everything else that we known yesterday is gonna die, including the narrative. So I look forward to it.
Yeah, if you just look out, it's that one's kind of obvious, and it kind of I don't know, it kind of surprises me how many people don't notice it, but it happens with everything. It happens with automobiles, it happens with fashion, it happens with music, it happens with home decor, it happens with architecture, you know, ever since probably the 20s in the United States and other industrialized places, there is a shift in the aesthetics in the culture, you know.
Yeah.
And not only is the aesthetics, but the tools as well. You know, it's kind of like the people who have been sitting around like, oh my God, you know, the iPhone hasn't made any advances ever since we got it. And I think I agree with you. I think it's like you're saying, like, bro, they hold that shit back and they wait. You know, like one thing that always bugged me out is like, why did it take so long to get an I-9? You know, like
the government. No, we have laws against it. You know, that Oprah Winfrey law. What is that called? Something obsolescence. Like you got to give the government 2 years before you announce a product that replaces all the other products. So basically, like, if Gateway and Dell went around Washington D.C. like promising, you know, like quad core Pentium 4s were the future. Meanwhile, you know, they had i7 in the tuck. Well, if they secured all these contracts with schools and government buildings, they have to give it X amount of time before they can bring out something that will replace it. Because then it becomes a Ponzi scheme for institutions to keep paying and paying and paying and paying. Because, you know, they make another microchip real quick.
Yeah.
They just ship, boom, boom, boom. Hey, we got another $1 million contract. They just ship, boom, boom, boom. Another $1 million contract. So the breathing, the compression or the expansion of progress is really a government mandated thing. So these Silicon Valley geniuses ain't coming up on the bag every time. Because if they come up on the bag every time, they start having as much money as the military. And if they have enough money for their own military and artificial intelligence army, we have a whole different type of society that's no longer capitalistic. And that's the thing you guys really need to pay attention to, but no one's paying attention to it. So what were you saying? You said something about isotope.
Oh, those are big bars. So yeah, what I wanted to talk about was people's productivity in 2019. You know, a lot is made of these tools. You know, we went on in this stream to talk about basically how making music is at a point where it's less complex than ever. I wouldn't necessarily say it's easier because you still have to be able to put it together. You know what I mean? You still have to be able to hear your track and know that you need the piano pulled forward. You still have to have that element of translation and decision making. You know what I mean? You have to have the confidence to make the decisions. And I think with the influx of information that's readily available to us, I think that is the skill that's missing from people, is not necessarily the ability to pick sounds or or to arrange patterns or to, create the music, but it is the confidence to be able to say, yo, this is lit, I'm putting it out. I think that lack of confidence has put, and we've talked about this privately, but has put, like people who watch my channel, people who watch your channel, they're kind of, you kind of get this feeling that a lot of them are in this place where they're setting up this, they have this plan to ascend and reach their goals, and they're setting up the launching pad right now. Like, they got the nice launching pad, they're painting that shit, and now they're looking at it, they're like, yo, I need this thing, I need this thing, I need this thing, I need this thing, and once I have this thing right here, that's when I'm going to make the step and go. And kind of what I wanted to warn people about, is dude, don't do that. Do not do that, because I've done that. I've done that personally in like my pursuit of the sound packs and everything. And I've watched smaller people, smaller companies, just run out into the space with reckless abandon, and they're doing numbers. And that could have, and I look at it like, yo, that could have been my money, but yeah, I mean, it's just facts, bro. It's just facts.
I agree. No, I don't. I'm laughing because a hit dog will laugh.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, I look at him, I'm like, damn, that's my money. And that's not to say like that these brothers aren't great at what they do. You know what I mean? It's just that I had my little list. I had to make sure that I got all the hardware so that I was adhering to the EULAs, and and then once I got all the hardware, I had to have the right interface. And then once I had the right interface, I got to make sure I got the lunchbox. The fucking 500s are coming tomorrow. And now finally I can give you guys the drum kit, because I had to make sure that my first real drum kit had analog processing on it. And bro, I could have been selling drum kits for the past 3 years, because I had been working to this whole time I had been working to build the audience, but I should have been doing business with the audience the whole time, rather than just teaching how to make little baby type beats. So all of that is to say, guys, if you have a goal, and you think you need something to chase it, you don't. You just gotta take the first step. What do you think about that sentiment?
I think everything you described is something I've experienced, and everyone is going to experience. But you have to make a very clear decision. It's like a talisman with two sides on it. You got to pick your season in which you don't run up numbers on the board, and then you got to pick the season in which you run numbers up on the board, right? So what I mean is, he just described almost feeling like wasting time. So in that time, those 3 years, I was doing these things, whereas if I would have flipped the coin, I could have put the numbers up on the board, because I could have did those other 3 things that would have made me a lot of money. I could have put out kits as is, this, that, and the third. From my, looking back on things, I don't think you should feel that way, so you don't feel like you wasted anything. I don't want anyone to feel like they wasted time or feel like they lost or failed, because when you're not running the numbers up, you're learning, you're expanding, you're communicating, you're doing other stuff, right? I mean, especially if you're a content creator already, or if you're just a person online, you're doing a whole bunch of stuff. And it's usually around the relationships of people, right? So when you're giving back, or you're in the trenches, so to speak, or you're working out in the gym with Rick Ross or whatever it is, right? You're actually doing something with that time. And you got to think about it. If you're running up the numbers on the board, making a whole bunch of content, you wouldn't have made those connections, those people, or just got that information that changed your framework of thinking.
Right.
So now, me and you have both pretty much just said publicly, and then said into the ether, in 2019, we're going to try to run the fucking numbers up on the board. Now, when you switch over into that hat and you feel like you're confident enough to run the numbers up on the board, he was absolutely right. A lot of you are just creating this launch pad and like waiting to launch. And it's like, you don't want to wait too long to launch. You just got to decide you're going to launch, because once you launch and you start making stuff and offering it for sale or offering services and stuff, that's when you get the money to finish the blueprint. I don't think people know that. Like,
Yes.
it's like it's like step by step. Like when Tesla was a genius, right? And he started building that tower that he was building. You notice, like, when they pulled the money out, it was an incomplete tower. They didn't just build the tower all at once. You notice it's like piece by piece, part by part, fund by fund, and they had to go back and get more money. And then all of a sudden, Ford was like, "Huh, you about to do what? No, we got oil money, baby. We can't finish this one." And they're just sitting there looking stupid. That's the same thing with us. You're not racing to complete something. You're actually racing to start building something. And that's what he's trying to say. He's trying to say the complexity problem. You gotta get the baby steps out. Did you buy your .com yet? Did you get your graphics yet? Okay, cool. Oh, you want to sell some drums or something? All right. Well, how many kicks and snares you got that you've been using that you customize already? You put that in a folder. Does it have to be $50? No. Can you sell it for 99 cents? Do you think that'll get the ball rolling and build up your mailing list? There's all different orders of complexity you can deal with. So basically, what he's really saying is don't wait. What I'm saying is, when you've been building and you got that base structure there for real, and you got the cash flow coming in, you have to put numbers on the board, because that wave of attention and everything you've learned and peeped the game on and applied is going to taper off, because human interest is going to change. So you're going to have to decompress and learn something else and have downtime anyway. So make sure you don't pull the trigger after the wave is passed. So you got to time it properly. And I think the zero sum of it all is the same. I think financially you'll make out even, regardless of when you decide to do it, as long as you act within the time.
Yeah, man. So I think moving forward into 2019, you definitely want to just be productive as possible. I was watching a video you were on last night. You said something fucking awesome about replacing perfection with priority, or with productivity, and that's kind of what I wanted to get across to people with with that part of our discussion, is that you don't want to be in the lab stage forever, if you and this is also something that you said last night, like especially if your goal is music, whether you're a rapper or a producer, there is so much, like if you think about the last 3 months and all the albums that come out, and that's why we're not doing like an album of the year stream, because that shit's a joke. Like, how much of that shit did you really listen to? Like how many like how many times did you guys really listen to Scorpion? Like 3 times, maybe, if that.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's like, dude, the big Drake album, like, come on, man. There was, so if people aren't like grabbing this stuff and holding on to it, there's the time that you spend like really tweaking it and not showing your music to anybody. You're not benefiting it anyway, because once you make that super perfect song that you spent all the time making, someone's just gonna forget it in 2 weeks. When a less perfect song pops up, that has a louder 808 that they've never heard before. Yeah, you know it, bro. Real quick before we check out, Dia wanted to know, what is your biggest unseen prediction happening in music production within the next year? Not what you've discussed, but the unknown. I thought that was fun. So something that could possibly happen that is unexpected, and I want to you were talking about this last night with Stoney. You mentioned it briefly, and I thought it was, I don't know that it would happen in a year, but it's definitely what's going to happen, was the idea of a free splice. When someone figures out how to make something like Splice free. Have you like given any thought to how that might happen? If it's a situation like like something like Hulu, where it's like ad based or something like that.
I've seen it. I've seen them. I've seen a couple of them that I've seen a few frameworks, and I've seen a few similar websites that are not promoted as such, but with just a tweak in the language would be. So the Reason Company had Ali Hoopa or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not for nothing, that was a very free splice. under the guise of social media. Unfortunately, Propellerhead separated from them and Ali Hoopa closed, but that means those programmers need a job, right? Words connect, words connect. I think Reason in them, what are they, Swedish, Switzerland? They're one of those guys.
Right.
So those programmers, once they figure out, the other guy I was talking to, who's actually from Switzerland, is doing the same kind of website, but targeted for AI matching, BPM syncing, key matching type of synonym type online type madness. Once those programmers get together, we'll have it in less than a year for sure. But what it looks like is MySpace. So you create a profile, you get your little music player, you upload all your unfinished tracks, aka loops, and the algorithm uploads it, finds the BPM, it finds the key of it, and it categorizes it, I'm sure, an unlimited amount of tags. You add friends or musicians. Ideally, if you're going to join that, you're going to follow musicians, not beat makers. Stay woke. And then you basically, you could just wake up one morning, check your phone, and be like, oh, my favorite guitar player put another 4-bar banger up there. I'm making beats today. And then you download it, and just like the Splice thing, you sync it, throw it in Studio One, boom, you're out of here. And then you get time stretching all this crazy shit on the fly that they're trying to do, which may not even be required. You know, they're trying to output arcade the shit. But what happens to the hackers, though? You know, the guy that says, yo, add me, bro, DM me, bro. And he ends up having 10,000 friends and followers or whoever, or connections. And then he's like curating the crazy playlist of all the crazy people. And, you know, he's like downloading an ungodly amount of loops. And then, you know, he realizes that he's a glutton, so he can't do nothing about it. So then he monetizes his curations again. And we're back into that circle.
It's a circle,
so,
baby.
It's the same shit every time. Humans do the same shit. Like, you could peep game from the jump every time. And it happens faster, which makes it even more critical for you to react to it. But anyway, how does the platform make money, or how do you make money from it? I'm thinking, be very careful. When they start talking about cryptocurrencies and stuff, because I seen that meme come back. Like, people were like talking about Bitcoin again all of a sudden since the last 5 days or so. Like, it's been like a meme. Like, they're trying to drum up the high Bitcoin sellout.
Oh, bro, they got drip coin now.
Yeah, drip coin. Stop.
It's real. It's real.
When they start, what they're going to have to do. So in the last week, a few things happened. You know, the Bitcoin meme has happened.
Right.
The government, remember that law they passed to help us, the Music Modernization Act?
Yeah.
That came back up in the news again. They're trying to do something about that. So, you know, my words connect that ass. I went, oh, they're going to try to blockchain copyrights. You know, Article 13, YouTube removing the 3 subscribers from my page, but the 10,000 from the other guy's page, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All these things are in the same box, and they're in the box of how do you protect, you know, or identify or give DNA towards people's creations. Once they solve that problem, which is an easy problem to solve because they want to do the new internet protocol too to give us more addresses. Once they do all of that and they put a name on it, which I think will be by 2020,
yeah,
that's
definitely.
the thing. Once that's unleashed, then this type of platform, once they sign us up and get our emails, then they'll unroll the monetization. So first, I think it's going to be a playground, a bunch of destruction. I'm telling you guys, stay woke. That whole year or more that you have to fuck around in this playground, fuck it up, because then once they lock it down, it's over. So you got to monetize it before they. You got to monetize it before they do.
It is that
monetize it before they do.
And I just want to say, It doesn't mean that it's over. It just means you're gonna have to learn a new set of rules.
Yeah.
So I think what me and MG have been trying to tell you, and we're starting to get a lot more direct with this message, is like, dude, sell your fucking shit now. Because the rules are changing. They are going to change, and when the rules change, MG isn't going to be the MG that you know, because he's not going to have the 15 years experience of this particular system and how to manipulate it. I'm not going to be the same CMP that you know, because I'm not going to know either. We're going to be back to square one figuring it out. You know? And maybe, and then maybe, you know, maybe this time around we'll be so old that we'll be like, man, I don't feel like sharing this with you guys. I'm taking all the money this time. No, that's not gonna happen. Never. But you,
But I think people, I think even like that learning curve that you're talking about, you know, to be proficient at it. I mean, I'll try to be there to warn you of the guy with the whiteboard who's trying to sell you on how it kind of worked when he compares it to email marketing in 1999 in GeoCities. I'll be able to point that bullshit out.
yeah,
But
facts.
I don't think the complexity on the consumer level ever gets out of hand. I think what happens is you hear about something like this and people ignore it and they start paying attention to the old thing more, and then you get like this underground conclave of things that keeps happening and rumbling. And then what happens is a rapper says it, someone on TV points it out, Hollywood makes a movie about it, and then everyone pays attention to it. And then this core group has all the doors on lock for a while. So you can, because we're all connected, you can just pay attention to it. You're gonna notice it. Like, it's not like MySpace transforming into Twitter and them. We already did that once. We have a whole nother 100 years or more before we feel lost again like that. I don't think we can ever feel lost again, because anytime a new system is announced, you can YouTube somebody that has answers. And there's going to be people who have questions, and there's going to be people in Europe who understand it better than Americans. And they're going to ask me a question. I'm going to get an answer, and we're going to be able to create gumbo solutions way quicker than we could have on MySpace when your friend left. You didn't know how to get in contact with them again.
But I feel like I feel like what happens, I feel like what's coming with, you know, with respect to like the Article 13 shit and the new protocol and the identification of the of the data and everything, I feel like it is what it's what happens with all industries. You know, you go and you try to vertically integrate it so that the corporations can control more of it. You know what I mean? Like right now, even today, I feel like we're in the gold rush with the internet. You could still go wherever you want, find your niche, you know, put up your little general store and get your money. Like that part of it. I feel like that's what all of this is, you know, really is really about. They want to, you know, they want to slim down that, make sure, you know, make sure everybody's getting their tax correctly, you know, make sure that
Who? Because the internet is worldwide. Not everyone makes.
No, the internet is worldwide, but corporations are multinational.
Correct. So you have to find who is Skynet. The problem, you know, like, we're not on the internet. We're on, like, they already locked us in a zoo of the internet. We're like on 5% of the internet.
Oh yeah, no, facts.
So what I'm saying is, if we're monetizing so much, and like what I'm saying, when they start paying you in crypto, listen, I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna do this very slowly because this is so crazy. When PayPal becomes BitPal, listen to me. When we start exchanging these digital things that don't mean much, that you can't really touch tangibly, that have a process of accounting and checksum balances and all these ledgers that have to keep up with it, and it's controlled by a centralized database, however and whenever they gain agreement on that, and that becomes our Amazon currency and the things we buy goods with anyway. Once they normalize that and they have your coin registered to your identity, your DNA, accountable to this particular digital bank, once that becomes normal and people talk about how cool it is and people talk about how much money they made before they cashed out, run the other fucking way, because that is the infrastructure you're worried about. The technocracy, that doesn't happen unless they can control the flow of information and money. They don't. That's why I say which government, because they want it, and they're all having their little silent battles. So there is no centralized force yet. That's because they have no centralized tracking mechanism. That crypto bullshit for the consumer, that is the centralized bullshit. And you need to figure out if Bill Gates really happy about this. Fuck that. Is such and such, or the Google exec and the smartest man in the world, Tesla and fucking Amazon founder, are really excited and they're dumping in trillions into this platform and they think it's going to be revolutionary and change the world. That's when you run the other way and you figure out how to access the other 85% of the internet. I'm just saying, the British are coming.
And with that, we have our 2018 year in review and our 2019 look into the future. I'm CMP with Craftmaster Productions, Studio1Tutorials.com. You guys keep it simple. Do not be basic.
Hey, MG the Future, you know what I'm about. You guys have a blessed New Year's. Peace.